Do you breathe purple and gold? Are you ready to hoist the colors? Now, time for the most in-depth look at the world of ECU athletics. Welcome in to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Now, here's your host, Stephen Igo.
Welcome in. It is a game day edition, a Greenville regional game day edition of Hoist the Colors. It's Friday, May 31st. If you are live streaming with us, it's Friday morning around 9:10 a.m. as we got to be at the ballpark. If you're listening on radio, we're taking you up to pregame coverage with Scott Rogers and Mike Mullis in the broadcast booth inside Clark LeClaire Stadium. The Greenville Regional is here. 94.3 The Game has you covered. Of course, we're live on YouTube and Facebook if you're watching our live stream. So drop a comment there, and we will get to it throughout the next 45 minutes or so. It will be a shortened show due to the pregame coverage on the way. All right, Steve and I go here in the studio. We've got Philip Pilkington, and we also have Joseph Sampson, our usual Friday guest. And gentlemen, we'll start with Joe because I haven't had you on the show this week, but how fired are you up for some Pirate baseball?
I'm extremely fired up until the National Communist Athletic Association decided that we can't have fun. First off, you take away the megaphones. Understandable. You don't want that kind of noisemakers. I get it. It's like the didgeridoo back in the 2012 World Cup. I get that part. But now, Jungle fans can't leave seats, which they have done since the beginning of time. And especially now you can't leave a step stool because they will be cleared immediately. They're not hurting anybody. It's not a safety issue. It's not a public health issue. Where exactly do the national communists get off?
I will say this before I pitch it to Philip. Joe, that needed to happen. The seats thing is ridiculous. And I think that was more of an ECU decision because
you went now, though? You bring it up now?
But think about how many seats are left out there that are just in the way for no reason. It needed to happen, Joe.
Yeah. So
are you a seat leaver?
No.
So
you think my big ass can sit in a seat? I'm over the fence. I go.
Hey, sorry to keep cutting you off, Philip, but everything else I agree with. Megaphones, lack of. I guess they're not letting sub dogs do the rally towels. All that. NCAA is ridiculous.
Yeah,
Phillip.
no walk-up songs. Like, come on.
I think that's bad too.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. The one thing I will say as it relates to the seats, when people would come for like the Saturday morning game, like if ECU wins today, it was like hindering those fans who wanted to sit in the jungle from like having a place to sit their chairs because there were seats in the way. And then also it led to like fighting. Like you'd have some like 65-year-olds like cussing at each other because you moved my seat 2/4 of an inch. What in the world are you doing? So like that was the problem. Why did I say 2/4 of an inch? That'd be half of an inch. But anyways, you get my point. They're over here fighting about dumb stuff that doesn't matter. And then also, like, the people who had chairs there would, like, yell at the students in right field, like, I've had my chair here all weekend, and you're standing in my way. I can't see while I'm sitting in my chair. Well, guess what? They're going to be 14 rows deep, chest to back. I was talking to Mark Miller about this the other day. You need to sit between innings. You're going to have to stand up to watch the game. So heads up if you have a jungle ticket, you're going to have to stand up to see the game. It's not the students' fault. Quit yelling at them. But it led to too much unnecessary drama, so I'm okay with the seats not being left.
That's
jungle
fair.
Politics, baby. Philip, are you ready for some baseball?
I am pumped up for some baseball. I am always pumped up for postseason baseball, especially. I think it's a little more sweeter this year. You know, we didn't host last year. We were worried we weren't going to host this year. Like 2 years ago, we knew we were a host. We were shocked to be a national seed. We knew we were going to host. I think even in 21 and 19 and 18, we knew we were going to host. It's just that much sweeter this year, though.
No doubt. It is it's a special thing, man. 5 out of 6 seasons. It's kind of crazy what Cliff Godwin and his staff have been able to build at ECU. All right, so Joe, Philip and I have given our take on the field. What about you? What do you think about Evansville, Wake Forest, and VCU coming to town?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is Evansville is terrifying when it comes to just statistics and how they play baseball. You said you watched them take a little BP. I actually caught one of the MVC tournament games on somebody's Flow Sports account, And I got to say, Fogerhaus, Taubert, and Horde all look the part when it comes to batting. They've got a great approach. They stay back on the ball really well. Fogerhaus was named to the MVC All-Tournament team as well as those other two guys. And they know how to drive the ball. They can hit it with backspin. They can put it into the corners. They can kind of do a lot of different things up at the plate. And I think when you're not throwing Savage, that can kind of terrify you a little bit. We saw Root in the tournament. How rusty is he going to be? This is his second appearance now in 2 months. How is that going to play in? Is there going to be some fatigue? Is there going to be some of that adrenaline and intensity issue because you're at 1 o'clock on a Friday and you're in a way different atmosphere than you ever have been as a pitcher for East Carolina? I will say Harris having 66 saves for them out of the bullpen is also a little scary. If you get into this tight one-run ball game, they can shut you down, but he does leave a little to be desired. He's got over a 3 ERA, so you can get to him. But as we know with relievers, it's completely hit or miss. It's a 50-50 shot if he's on that day or if he's off, and I just hope the Pirates catch him when he's off.
Zach Root, as you mentioned, getting the ball today for ECU, gentlemen, and, you mentioned the crowd. I think Zach Root, I know he has not pitched a lot recently, but this is like the environment he thrives on. To me, like, he has the big game Root moniker, as Philip adjusts his camera for our live stream. Nice close-up there. I think, as long as he's fully healthy and everything I've heard, like, I think he's been healthy a while. It's just been more of, like, confidence mentality thing for Zach Root. So, like, I think if he goes out there and has a strong first inning today, we might see a special performance. I don't know. We'll get both of y'all's takes, but we'll start with Philip just on, we know big game Root is a thing. He pitched really well against North Carolina earlier this year in the neutral environment. He pitched well against Virginia last year in that environment. This will be his first time at home, really maybe feeding off the crowd. What are your expectations for Root today?
Oh, I'm glad that he pitched well against Carolina in the neutral site game because no one could see it unless you were there because the game wasn't on TV. So I'm glad you told me that. Anyways, conversation for another day. No, look, you're right. If he goes out there and has a big first inning, that's just going to do wonders for his confidence. And if, you say he's been healthy and it's been a confidence issue, well, we talked to him yesterday, and he seemed like normal Zach Root, kind of that relaxed, easygoing, just in his own little world, Zach Root. And when he's that way, that's when he's on his best. If he was kind of jittery and seemed really intense or something, you'd be worried. But when Zach Root looks like he doesn't have a care in the world, that's when Zach Root is the most dangerous because he's just such a relaxed, type B personality kind of guy.
All right, Joe. So Root threw 44 pitches last week. My understanding is they feel comfortable with him going into the 75, 80 pitch mark today as long as he's not showing any signs of fatigue because he has been throwing bullpens regularly. It's not like he was completely shut down with this really kind of different injury, if you can really call it that. It's more like a thumb deal, like a feeling grip thing. So, I guess what would be an ideal performance from Root today on the opening day of the regional in terms of length or runs from your perspective?
If he can give you 5 innings, you are set up for a really good situation. I'm not anticipating he can give you 7. 8 is a dream, but I don't even know if Trey can give you 8 coming off that collapsed lung. If you get to game 2 against Burns like that and that ace showdown you're hoping for, Root's issue wasn't necessarily an injury, and I'm glad you brought that up, but control is such an important thing as a pitcher. Location, knowing how your pitches are breaking, if your pitches are breaking, and with that breaking ball that Root likes to throw, that little slutter as he calls it, it's going to be very interesting to see if it plays well. There's a lot of right-handed batters as opposed to all the lefties they've seen in American Conference play, so I wonder if that's going to be an issue also. There's a lot of matchups that may not favor Root the same way, so if you don't have your control, not getting flustered, being able to sit in there, not be frustrated, and do those different things as a starting pitcher, 5 is a dream if you're Cliff Godwin to be able to say, hey, we just need 2 guys to go to the bullpen and then bring in the law firm in the 9th, and we'll get to game 2 and set ourselves up for a good instance.
All right, so we know ECU, when they're going well, has 3 high leverage, really high in arms, and Zach Root, Wyatt Lunsford, Shinkman, and clearly Trey is Savage. I would say there's question marks to a degree around all 3, especially with just Savage and Shinkman. So my question to you guys is, can ECU win this regional without all 3 of those guys performing at a high level? Do they need 2? Do they have enough offense to only do it with maybe, 1.5, if that makes sense? I don't know. Or do they need all 3 to deliver this weekend to some capacity? We'll start with Philip.
They can do it with 2, but they would have to sweep the regional in order to do it with 2.
Right.
That's about all I got.
Makes
Yeah,
sense.
Yeah, I just don't think they're deep enough to play a 4th game or a 5th game without all 3 of those guys being at darn near their full ability.
What do you think, Joe?
I think you can get away with 2. I think if Root isn't the sharpest he's ever been today, you could still claw enough runs across the board. You've had the bats wake up a little bit considering the run you went on down in Clearwater after that abysmal second game. You're okay in that regard. But I do think if you don't have Shankman, it's going to be a very, very long set of innings because you can only go to Norby so many times. Are you going to go to Jaden Winter or Chris Kaler in these high leverage situations like that? Or are you going to try and utilize them in a long relief role if you need to? So I say if you have Shankman and Savage firing on all cylinders, you're going to be just fine. But I agree with Philip. If you don't have those guys, I don't know if you have the depth to go to a 4th game.
Win or lose, Savage is going to start tomorrow. All indications there, and I think it's just a matter of he says he's fine. He's throwing a bullpen. I guess it's just a matter of when he gets out there, how does he respond?
Mm-hmm.
We don't really know the side effects, in a game environment, what it's going to be like until he's out there. So I think that's just kind of a wait and see thing. Shinkman is the X factor for me because, I think he's feeling pretty good. It's again kind of like Root, the command mechanics thing. He's trying to wrap that up. I think when it clicks, all of a sudden Shingman's back and there's your X factor. He can not only go, an inning, but maybe he can go 3 or 4. And we saw during the regular season when he was healthy, he could pitch in multiple games. So, to me, if you somehow get Shinkman back at some point in this regional, it could change everything. I just don't know, guys, what the right situation is to put him in the first time. If ECU gets up 5-1 today, you try to get him in there. We don't know if he can really throw multiple times in the weekend. So there's Shinkman, I would say I had the most question marks about, but also if he delivers as the X factor, I think it could change the whole regional, Philip.
Yeah, I know it's from the side of you don't know if he can throw multiple times in a week, and you want to use that one wisely. But look, we've seen him twice since he got injured, and the control's been an issue. I think, it sounds like it might have affected him a little worse than it affected Zach. But at the end of the day, he's got to build some confidence back up. I would love for the Pirates to get up big today and for him just to throw 1 inning. And no matter what happens, right? Obviously, if you got to yank him, you got to yank him. But, if it's one of those situations where, hey, he goes out there and throws 3 pitches and gets 3 outs, you don't bring him out again. Because, again, all we got to do is just build his confidence up. I think he needs 1 good outing, and you just make that outing as short as possible. And what you hope is a blowout game. Not that you can sleep on the aces, but, you can blow out anybody. I'm all for him pitching today if it comes to that, and have him start an inning. No inherited runners, nothing crazy. Have him start an inning.
All right, so Wake Forest, guys, is going with their number 3, who's not even really a starter, David Falco. They're kind of going opener bullpen game. We heard this earlier in the week. Against VCU, I should clarify. And I was kind of surprised. They are planning to win the regional. They're obviously trying to save Chase Burns for Saturday and save Josh Hartle. Pretty surprised they're not even going with Hartle against VCU. So I don't know, Joe. This is a major gamble by the Demon Deacons, who clearly have the most potent offense in the regional. VCU not very good offensively, but they can pitch. And I wonder if this is going to come back to bite Wake. But what do you think of this move by the Demon Deacons?
Yeah, it was interesting to read about it, especially considering these were the former preseason number 1 Demon Deacons, that all these expectations and insurmountable things of, just hand them the trophy now between Burns and their number 2, who could possibly oppose them? And then we saw the ACC start to play out, and then they dropped a Tuesday game to UNCG, I believe it was. And then everything just started to trickle down after that. So I think they're a little battered, a little bruised. They're trying to kind of use that because they're expecting a Chase Burns 8-run game. I wonder if Chase Burns is still the number 2 slot if they do lose to VCU in this opener, or do they try and save him for that Sunday if they get that far? It's very interesting to see them trying to manage this, but it definitely gives me a counting your chickens before they hatch kind of vibe.
Yeah, if I'm VCU, guys, I'm pretty I'm feeling pretty disrespected right now. I don't know how far that goes in baseball, Philip, but like they have already come to Greenville twice, or they came to Greenville for once this year and didn't get a chance to play a game. Then they had another game canceled. Now you're kind of getting, I would say they're the least talked about team in this regional, even more so than Evansville. So do you think any shot the VCU Rams get it done tonight and shock the Deeks?
Yeah, I think there is a huge chance they get it done. I mean, I'm not picking them to, but when you look at the seeding in college baseball, a 3, right? So what does that equivalent to in college basketball? That's somewhere between a 9 and a 12 seed. 9 through 12 seeds win first-round games all the time. VCU is no exception. They're not a wrongful 3. They're a little bit of a weaker 3 when you look at some of the other 3s in this thing, like a Coastal Carolina. I don't think they're as good as them. But this team still, to your point, they've pitched well. The A-10 is not a bad conference. And look, if they can continue to pitch well and limit the long balls, or at least when they do allow long balls tonight, because Wake's going to hit some home runs, not have anybody on base, they can find their way to pick and scratch through this contest regardless of who Wake starts. And on top of that, like you said, they're throwing a bullpen day. I would feel extremely disrespected, and, hey, that might be the extra motivation these Rams need.
All right, Zach Griffin on YouTube says, I think it would be ideal to give Wyatt Shinkman an inning today to see where he's at, to give him a clean inning. And obviously, I think that would be ideal if the Pirates can get a lead. We'll see. Evansville, a tough opponent. We'll touch more on the Aces towards the end of the show. Let's get a break in. We will come back. We're going to take a look at the schedule around college baseball today. What other games intrigue us of regional action? We also have our latest edition of Debate Class to get to, involving bunting and our favorite teams bunting the baseball. Are we a fan of it? Are we not? We'll get into that in our latest Friday Debate Class with Joe and Philip. More Hoist the Colors on the other side.
New Toyotas, 0 down and only $369 a month at Greenville Toyota during the Great Rate Sales Event. Buy with 0% or get Corollas. $369 a month with 0 down. This is not a lease. You own it. Plus, get our Greenville Advantage at Greenville Toyota.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you farm to fork beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to fork beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
When a place is as special as this, you don't want to change a thing. You simply want to enjoy it, just as it is. That was our inspiration behind Bow Coast West, our newest community in Beaufort, North Carolina. Embrace all that we love about this very special place and make it easy for families to enjoy all that this coastal lifestyle has to offer. Be inspired. Bow Coast West.
Dum-dum-dum. Get low, get low, get low. 369, ooh, she fine. Hoping she can sing it to me one more time. Get low, get low, get low, get low.
Grab a Pepsi Wild Cherry and get wild.
Ready to save thousands with a great rate? Get 0% financing at Greenville Toyota during the Great Rate Sales Event. Shop our massive inventory of new Toyotas, available as low as 0%. Hurry to Greenville Toyota today, where our volume saves you money.
Back to Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo.
Drink up me hearties, yo-ho.
On 94.3 The Game.
Welcome back in, Hoist the Colors on this Friday, a game day Friday, regional coverage about to get underway here, 94.3 The Game, 12:45. Taking you up to first pitch will be Scott Rogers, Mike Mullis on 94.3 The Game and the ECU Sports Network. All right, Joe Sampson with us, Philip Pilkington with us as well. We previewed the Greenville Regional a little bit more in our first segment. We'll do a bit more towards the end of our show. We've got debate class to get into here in a minute with bunting and discussing whether or not we like our favorite teams to bunt the baseball. But we'll start with the regional schedule today, guys. 32 games in action. I don't know. Do y'all have this pulled up in front of you, or do you want me to read out the games?
I have it pulled up in front of me, but with 7 seconds left in the break, we lost Joe. Now I see his camera. Hey, Joey Football's back. Okay. I have it in front of me. I can't. Joey Football, do you have the regional schedule in front of you?
Did the NCAA communist section take you out, Joe?
No, I went and got the bracket.
Hey, there we go.
There you go.
Thought I had it in this folder. I didn't have it in this folder.
We got the bracket. All right, guys. So 32 games in action. A lot of, as much as I love covering a regional game, I got to be honest. I think I'd rather be on my couch watching like bases loaded on a day like this. But look, I'm not going to complain about a Greenville Regional. Joe, so you are in at home. Are you going to go like one TV on ECU and then the other on the bases loaded? I can't even remember. Is it called Squeeze Play or Base Load? Whatever the wraparound channel is. Are you going to do that?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to do that. This is a 3 TV kind of day, possibly 4, maybe even 3 in a laptop to those who are able. There's definitely a lot to be intrigued about. Obviously, the ECU one I hope is a stinker, and I'm bored by the 4th inning and we're up 8-1, and I'm like, okay, let's move this off of this TV and let's go somewhere else, because there's a lot of exciting games that we're just not going to get a chance to fully cover, I guess is the best way to put it, but will be intriguing to see how they shake out because they can shake up a lot of different things. So, yeah, it'll definitely be a bases loaded kind of day.
All right, so just off the let's pick one game. We'll kind of go around the horn. We'll mention more after that, but one game outside of the ECU Regional that really intrigues you today, and I'll start it off to give you all some time to look. I'm gonna go with the latest game of the day, guys, or one of them. 9:00 start. Tulane, Oregon State. I picked the Green Wave to win the Corvallis Regional. I absolutely love that I'm gonna be able to come home after working and watch West Coast college baseball, baby. I am fired up about that. Along with my Seattle Mariners. I'm used to doing that, but love some late-night baseball. I think Tulane's the most dangerous 4 seed in the tournament. I think Oregon State is beatable. They do have some elite offensive players, including one who may go 1 overall in the draft. But I'm going to go with the Green Wave and Oregon State. I think Tulane can win this regional, and to do so, they got to win tonight. We will go to Joe next.
I think it's West Virginia and Dallas Baptist for me in the Arizona Regional. That might be my most exciting regional to watch this year. I think Grand Canyon's a really dangerous 4 seed. I think they were a really good team all the way through their tournament and everything after that. I'm really excited to see how West Virginia and DBU play. DBU's got 2 very good pitchers, and I wonder if they're kind of saving them or if they're going to possibly, throw one and then use the other one if they win tonight after West Virginia, because they are still the 2 seed. But West Virginia is a very dangerous team in that Arizona Regional.
All right, before I get to Philip, Bobby Harward on YouTube says, maybe I missed this, but Joe, are you at the library?
I'm not at the library. This is just to make me look smart. Thanks, Bobby.
Not at the library, but it is a good background. Philip, what you got?
I'm going to go with Nebraska and Florida. A lot of people say Florida should have gotten the tournament. They got in because of SEC bias. I don't think they deserve to be in, but if you ask me, are they one of the best 64 teams in the country? Absolutely. Nebraska has exceeded expectations this year. This is one of the more intriguing 2-3 games for me.
Definitely one to keep an eye on as well. I'll tell you what, guys, a lot of people giving LSU some buzz. LSU Wofford is extremely good offensively. So they steal a ton of bases. They can hit for power. Would not be shocked if the Terriers put a scare in LSU, if not win the game. Stetson, Florida State, a noon start as well. That'll be an interesting 1-4 matchup. Coastal Carolina, Vanderbilt, two teams that I think could possibly win that Clemson Regional. You continue to go down the list here. Obviously, in Knoxville, Indiana, Southern Miss will be worth keeping an eye on. And then, VCU, Wake Forest, we know, in the Greenville Regional, an interesting game as well. UCF finally in the tournament now that they're out of the American, of course. They take on Alabama at 6. And Georgia Tech, UNCW. Does UNCW, can they break the drought? ECU has never made it to Omaha. Well, UNCW has never won a regional. And I honestly think they could do it this year in the Georgia Regional. So a lot of intrigue around today's action and a whole lot more. Starts at noon, goes probably till midnight with some of these 9 o'clock games. So nothing beats this time of year. All right, guys, let's get into our weekly debate class. And essentially this one comes down to, and I figured it was on brand since we're about to watch ECU baseball, which, by the way, has 44 – yeah, probably so. 44 sacrifice bunts on the season compared to 27 from opponents. So 44 sack bunts in, 58 games. So they're averaging just less than 1 per game. There's a lot of bunting. And the slash bunt, bunting, it clearly bores Phillip as he's falling asleep.
Still recovering
on the
from
air.
the 3 hours of sleep I got 2 nights ago.
I understand, man. You've had a busy week and a busy weekend ahead. So bunting in general has been, I would say, in Major League Baseball is almost dead. I mean, the sacrifice bunt at least. College baseball is still rampant. I'll start with Joe because you can take this in a lot of directions. Do you like it when your favorite baseball team bunts the baseball? What are your thoughts?
Which favorite team, I guess, is my indicator. If it's the Yankees, usually it's an Austin Wells in a shift situation, and he bunts into a double like he did this year against the Diamondbacks. And I'm like, wow, what a heads-up baseball play. But if it's ECU, sometimes it's a Luke Nowak. It could be Joey Barini. It could be a Riley Johnson early in the year, putting them in those situations where you want to get the runner over and you think you have enough speed you could force the throw and play situational baseball. I don't hate it. I think Cliff is heavily reliant on Cliff ball, as we've joked about it in the media, and how the bunt kind of plays into everything else. I wish he would give them a little bit more of a green light on a hit and run situation instead of the suicide squeeze or the slash bunt, as we've kind of seen come into play a little bit over the last couple weeks. So I don't hate it in certain situations. I just think ECU, we get so much of it that we think it's overplayed when it's actually a very good situational baseball piece.
Phillip, what are your thoughts on the bunt?
I hate how Major League Baseball has gone to the only way you can score is get walked and then hit home runs. You have to know how to manufacture runs because runs win baseball games. With that being said, you do only get 27 outs. There's no clock, and 27 sounds like a lot, but it's really not. As we learned last week when the Pirates' bullpen was depleted, it was how are we going to piece together 27 outs? And when you give teams free outs, it limits your ability to win baseball games. So it's part of the game. You need to manufacture runs. If you don't like bunts at all, then you don't like sack flies at all because it's the same thing, right? It's giving up an out to advance a runner. And that's okay as long as it's used sparingly, but you don't want to give away 3, 4, 5 outs in one game.
No doubt. I mean, I think for me, I have major mixed feelings on bunting in general. It's a huge part of the ECU offensive game plan. And to me, there's a difference between bunting for a hit, which is a baseball play. And, if you're a good bunter like Riley Johnson, a good drag bunter, I should say, you have a great chance of succeeding in getting that hit. And then giving up an out just to move a guy. I think, there's some obvious situations for me. Like if you're, if it's a late game situation and it's the go ahead winning run, I am fine sack bunting and giving up an out to move the runner or runners or even squeezing, obviously, because that could end the game. Or if let's say Chase Burns, Trey Savage, let's say you get a leadoff walk or you get a guy that reaches second on the air with nobody out, I'm completely fine. In a game, runs are going to be at a premium in the early innings, bunting that runner to third to try to get him home. But I just don't like giving up an out in general and really any level of baseball, but especially this era of college baseball where runs are pretty much being scored a ton. Home runs are higher than it's ever been. And so I think you got to play for the big inning at some point. I do think there are situations, and look, it's always going to be a part of ECU, but like it drives me crazy in Major League Baseball when teams get a leadoff double in like the eighth inning of a 3-3 game and nobody can bunt the runner up. And, I don't know if it's just the Mariners, but I watch a lot of Major League Baseball where the team would just go up there, pop up, strike out, and the guy never moves off second. So I do think there is a time for it. Not a huge fan of it, like using it mid-game when you're still playing for the big inning. But I do think there is a time for it. It is interesting that as of last year, like the ghost runner in Major League Baseball has been discussed a lot. Like, should teams sack bunt that guy to third immediately, or should they play for the big innings? It does say that teams that choose to bunt have scored one run in that inning 46.4% of the time since 2020, compared to 33.1% of the clubs that don't. But teams that swing away have obviously been more likely to have a big inning, which would give you a better percentage to win the game. So I don't know, like there's different situations, guys. You could debate it all day. I just know I'm not a huge fan of, let's say you're facing USF or whatever, and their pitcher walks two guys in the middle innings. Unless it's your weakest hitter in the lineup, I don't like bunting him and giving up an out and taking away the potential for a big inning. But that's just me. You can debate it either way, and to me, there's no right or wrong answer. But that's just my take on it. Any further thoughts on those or bunting in general, gentlemen?
No.
Well, the MLB. Sorry, Philip.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
The MLB has completely done a 360 on that because they've gone a full way around with the man fraud rule, with banning the shift now to having one player on each side of second base. And yet I still sit here in a tie game, like you said, 3-3 in the eighth, and nobody can hit a long pop fly. Nobody can hit a long pop fly into foul territory. Nobody can scratch across a single just to move the runner to third. I'm not asking for a double here. I'm not asking for a gap single even where it's Anthony Rizzo trying to run from first to second and he stops halfway and goes back to first. There's no situational baseball in the MLB anymore. And I think that's the problem is you get from the college days where these guys are so isolated into their niches of what they can do in the ecosystem of their offense, like the Riley Johnsons, who is now seemingly a power hitter and a true doubles hitter and looks for those gap plays as opposed to the bunting he did last year. They're very different players. And then when you get the Joey Gallos of the world who go 0-for-34 over a stretch and still in the starting lineup in the 4-hole for the Nationals, it just gets to that point where you're like, how can the bunt even be talked about if Joey Gallo can't watch a walk and get on base in the first place? Rest in peace, Joey Gallo, to the Yankees.
No, I agree with what you guys are saying. I was just going to bring up one more quick debate class question and just we can just yes or no because I know we're short on time. So you mentioned like Riley Johnson, like drag bunting for a hit. If it is past like the fourth inning and the opposing team has a pitcher go with a no-hitter, a perfect game going, should the drag bunt be banned?
No.
I said yes.
Seventh, maybe.
I think the catcher
Seventh
inning, I agree.
Okay. I think if you're past halfway, sixth inning on, you should not be allowed to drag bunt to try and get the first runner on. I think that's cheap. I think the catcher should be allowed to tackle the runner as he runs down to first.
I think there should be like an asterisk next to it because if it's 0-0, like you're still trying to win the game. If you're down like 17-0, you shouldn't drag bunt. That's Bush League.
What is the rule if, let's say, if Riley Johnson drag bunted against Chase Burns in the seventh inning of a no-hitter and then the catcher tackled him? Would that be ruled a hit or like an interference? He reaches first.
Keep the no-hitter going. It would be would be interference, and he would reach first safely, so the perfect game would be gone, but the no-hitter would still be going.
There you go.
So, like, say he's already walked one guy, and they're like, oh, trying to break up the no-hitter? Might as well.
Just tackle him.
Yeah.
All right, Thomas on Facebook says sometimes you got to let the big guns swing the bat. Also, Bobby says fake bunting drives me nuts. I'm cool with bunting if you get it down. Nothing irks my taters more than a player popping a bunt straight up in the air or looking incompetent while attempting a bunt. Josh adds, you should not bunt with runners on first and second with no one out with Carter Cunningham at bat. Hey, don't put anything past the Pirates. We've seen JC and Carter Cunningham both bunt in that exact situation this year. It's just part of the game. We were at practice yesterday. What was ECU doing off to the side along with taking BP? They were practicing bunting.
Bunt.
So
I don't think I've
get
ever
used to
been
that.
to a ECU practice where they didn't practice bunting off to the side.
Yeah, there's a lot of bunting going on at the off to the side in the batters cages. So it's just part of the DNA. All right, we got to get a break in. We'll come back. We will continue to take a final look at the Greenville Regional and more to wrap up the show. This is Hoist the Colors.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's cut in color and let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Living easy is the sound of children laughing as you make memories with neighbors and friends. It's the sound of nothing at all. It's the smell of the salt air. Hear the waters against the marsh grass. See the beauty of our coast. Bow Coast, located in Beaufort, North Carolina. Southern Living's best small town.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
What's happening? Tell me. What's happening? Every ECU fan's one stop for all things ECU athletics. This is Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors. We are drawing closer to first pitch here, ECU in Evansville. Joe Sampson and Philip Pilkington with us on this Friday edition, heading into the weekend, a busy weekend with the Greenville Regional. All right, so I'm up on ESPN, guys. I sent y'all a graphic. I don't know if y'all had time to look at it during the break. There is so if you go to the ESPN College Baseball tab, you can click like the actual game tab, and it comes up with like leaders for each team, batting leaders, pitching leaders. Under batting leaders for ECU, Alec Makarevich, 19 home runs, 376 average. So apparently AMAC has transferred back to ECU for the postseason. Could make a big difference this weekend.
Well, we knew they'd mess something up, but guess what they got right? Greenville, not Greenview, nothing like that. And North Carolina, they got it right. Mark this day down in history. ESPN got it right. Greenville, North Carolina. But they screwed up the Game Act thing, so, is what it is, right?
Hey, they can't get it all right, so we'll take the small victories. All right, guys, picks to click. Got about 3 minutes left, so let's go round table here. Greenville Regional picks to click. We'll start with Joseph Sampson. Who you got?
I got 2. I got Kobe Wallace pitches at least 1 inning, and I've got a Cam Clunch bomb. Whether it's pinch hit or start, I'm not sure yet.
I like that. So it's kind of going off the board there, but that's good.
A little bit.
Good stuff. Philip?
It is postseason baseball in Greenville. Give me 3 star bombs this weekend. Got to go.
3. I like it. Star bomb has certainly shown up in past postseason plays. All right, so I'm going Joey Barini. I picked him on the podcast as my bold prediction of the week is Joey Barini, who seems to have a knack for the clutch, would have a go-ahead or game-winning hit at some point in the late innings. So, and backing me up on this, Johnny Robertson said he is looking for a big weekend from Joey Barini. In the past 3 seasons, he leads the Pirates in batting average with .450 and on-base percentage at .500 in NCAA regional games. He has also reached base safely, gentlemen, in every regional game that he has had in a bat. So Joey Barini is Mr. Postseason. I hear some Purple Haze queued up, which means we are getting close to game time. Guys, I'm fired up. Joe, are you in a safe environment? Are you going to be able to contain yourself as this game gets underway?
I'm probably going to break a table, but, that's just what we do when it comes to Pirate baseball. We lose our minds.
Wait, so you're a Bills fan now?
No.
Philip, you will be in the press box.
I'm going to let Dom sit in the press box today. I'm going to roam around, and then I'm going to take the press box the next 2 days.
So are you going to be breaking things in the jungle?
No, I'm still going to have a media pass on. I can't do that. I'm not using a ticket to get in.
All right, guys, we are out of time. Enjoy Scooter and Mike Mullis. Also enjoy the weekend that is the Greenville Regional. It should be a ton of fun. We'll be back with you Monday. We'll talk to you then. This has been Hoist the Colors. Enjoy the weekend.